Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we examine the dark side of human nature and the mysteries that haunt us today. We are going to talk about a case that involves love, obsession, and murder that happened in Sydney, Australia. This is the story of a successful businesswoman who had moved from one continent to another and a man who followed her there. They seemed to have a perfect relationship until she decided to end it. But he was not ready to let her go. This case sent shockwaves across both the countries where they came from and lived. It also revealed the dark side of human emotions and how they can lead to tragic consequences. But before we dive into the details, please subscribe to our channel and receive notifications by clicking the bell icon. Our story begins with Cecilia Haddad, a vibrant and ambitious woman who hailed from the colorful and lively landscapes of Brazil. Cilia was not just an ordinary woman, she was a beacon of success, intelligence, and warmth that radiated in every aspect of her life. She was fluent in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, a testament to her intellectual prowess. Her academic journey led her to the prestigious Pontifical Catholic University in Rio de Janeiro, where she pursued engineering. It was here that she met Philippa Tous, a fellow engineering student who would later become her husband in 2007. Cecilia and Philippa made a significant decision. They moved to Australia, the land of opportunities and new beginnings. They settled in Perth, Western Australia, where they lived together for nearly a decade. However, due to ongoing marital issues, they decided to separate. Even amidst their personal challenges, Cecilia continued to excel in her professional life. She worked as a mining executive and held a role with the mining giant BHP, a testament to her enduring skills and expertise in the industry. Cecilia was not just defined by her professional success, she was a woman of substance known for her warm-hearted nature and loyalty. Friends described her as intelligent and generous, always ready to lend a helping hand. She loved. Her Dalmatian enjoyed fishing and cherished spending time with friends. Her love for her community was evident in her volunteer work. She worked as a fundraiser for Food Bank G and served as a support worker for the Disability Service HUP in Sydney. Despite her professional triumphs, Cecilia was a woman who cherished her personal relationships above all else. She was a woman who loved and was loved in return, yet, as we will soon uncover, love can sometimes lead us down unexpected paths. As we delve deeper into Cecilia's life, we will unravel the series of events that culminated in her tragic end. Life in its unpredictable. Nature has a way of bringing people together under the most unexpected circumstances. In Cecilia Haddad's life, this person was none other than Mario Santoro. Their paths crossed many years ago in Rio, where they were colleagues. Little did they know that years later their initial acquaintance would one day evolve into a personal relationship, one that would leave an indelible mark on their lives. Santoro, a Brazilian national like Cecilia, moved to Sydney in 2016. While little has been said about the details of their early relationship, one can imagine Cecilia and Mario, both immigrants, found solace in their shared culture and experiences, a comforting familiarity in a foreign land. Cecilia perhaps saw in Mario a reflection of her journey. Like her, he had been married before and was now standing on the precipice of a new chapter in his life. But as the saying goes, all that glitters is not gold. Beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect relationship, tensions were brewing. As the days turned into months, the once blossoming relationship between Cecilia and Santoro began to will. The strain of being the sole earner in the relationship was taking a toll on Cecilia. She grew tired of Santoro living off her, and she was covering all expenses. This included an all-expenses-paid trip to Sydney for Santoro's parents and daughters from a previous marriage. According to Haddad's friends, Santoro had told Cecilia that he had a high-paying job starting soon, but it seems to never have come to fruition. Haddad's friends told her they suspected he was stringing her along throughout their relationship. After a year of dating, she decided it was time to end their relationship. However, Santoro refused to accept the end of their relationship and initially refused to move out of her apartment. His initial refusal marked the beginning of a dark phase in Cecilia's life. Santoro's obsession with Cecilia took a dangerous turn. He began to stalk and harass her, leading to an incident where he forced himself into her apartment. Fearing for her safety, Cecilia barricaded herself in her bedroom while Santoro pounded on the door, haunted by fear and paranoia. Cecilia started staying at a friend's place. She even took a trip to Perth, hoping the distance would keep her safe. Later, it was discovered Santoro had secretly cut the keys to her apartment and would visit her apartment when she was not there. It's reported she often arrived home and noticed his hair and lingering body odor. Cecilia was terrified and often resorted to showering in the dark out of fear that Santoro would notice she was home. Her friends pleaded with her to call the police. However, Cecilia did not want to cause any trouble for Santoro that would lead him to be deported from Australia. All she wanted was for him to leave her alone. Little did she know this indecision would lead to her own demise the next day on April 29th. A gruesome scene unfolded on the Lane Cove River in Sydney. A woman's body was found floating face down in the water by a couple who were kayaking. She was fully clothed and had weights in her pockets, suggesting that someone had tried to sink her body in the river. The raw emotion in the Kerr's voice is evident from the police recording. Police emergency. This is T-My. Where do you need the police, please? Angel Street War at the water. We found a body in the water. Okay, just stay on the phone with me. Getting the police on the way as we're talking. Okay, just stay on the phone. You don't know who this person is. No, my holding slid. Music. I think it's a young woman. A young woman. Yeah, that funny. Upon arriving at the scene, the body was confirmed as none other than Cecilia Haddad, and her cause of death was later determined to be strangulation. Given the missing persons report and what was found on the scene, this case was immediately classified as a homicide. The death of Cecilia Haddad sent shockwaves throughout the community. As the police began their investigation, all signs pointed towards one prime suspect. Mario Santoro's cell phone tracking placed Santoro at Haddad's apartment and by the river where her body was later found. Sand and vegetation from that same area were also found in the victim's car. CCTV footage showed Santoro driving near the river, suggesting he might have been looking for a location to dispose of the body. The police were able to correlate this footage with earlier cell phone pings and identified Cecilia's red Fiat in the video. This car was later found at the West Ryde train station. Based on the evidence, it is estimated that Santoro disposed of Cecilia's body around 7:00 p.m. on April 28th, approximately 9 hours after her death. After disposing of Cecilia's body, Santoro returned home approximately 20 minutes later. CCTV cameras outside his residence captured him entering his home, leaving wet footprints behind. The same cameras recorded him taking clothes to an outdoor washing machine. In the aftermath of the murder, Santoro unlocked Cecilia's phone using her finger. He then sent misleading messages to her friends and family, falsely stating that she was heading to the Blue Mountains and had left her car at a local train station. These actions were presumably intended to delay the discovery of her murder and buy him some time. The next morning, Santoro took an Uber to the airport. He was catching a flight to Brazil. On the way to the airport, he threw her car keys out the window, a fact that was recanted by the Uber driver when interviewed by the police. Miraculously, the keys were later recovered by the police. Santoro was living under the false pretense of safety. He had fled Australia, leaving behind a trail of devastation. But little did he know the wheels of justice were turning. Although all the evidence was pointing towards Mario Santoro as the suspect, there was a problem. Brazil does not allow extradition of its citizens to Australia. However, working with Australian authorities, Brazilian law enforcement launched a manhunt for Santoro in July 2018, just a few months after Cecilia's murder. Santoro was arrested in Botafogo, a neighborhood in the south zone of Rio de Janeiro. He had been hiding at a relative's house. Santoro was charged with femicide for allegedly choking, mated to death. The news of his arrest brought a glimmer of hope to Cecilia's friends and family. It was a small step towards justice, but the journey was far from over 5 years after the tragic events that took Cecilia had its life. The man at the center of it all, Mario Santoro, finally confessed. Santoro confessed to entering Cecilia's apartment without her permission. He claims he simply could not accept the fact that she was distancing herself from him in a chilling admission. He admitted they had an argument, and in a fit of rage, he wanted to shut her up. So he grabbed her neck and pressed very strongly until she fell limp into his arms. He said, quote, "She fell limp in my arms. I don't remember if she hit her head on the floor. I picked her up and put her on the sofa. She wouldn't wake up." End quote. He then broke down in tears in the courtroom in June 2023. Santoro was sentenced to 27 years in prison by a federal court in Rio de Janeiro after he confessed to the murder of Haddad. He was convicted of aggravated homicide, association femicide, and concealment of a corpse. He cried while admitting his crime, but the judge said he only confessed after extending sense of evidence was produced against him in the tragic case of Cecilia Hanaud. We are reminded of the profound complexities of human nature. This case underscores the importance of trust not only in others, but also in our own instincts and judgments. It is a stark reminder that while human nature can be capable of love and kindness, it can also harbor darkness and violence. As we conclude this chapter, let us remember Cecilia not for the tragedy that befell her, but for the life she lived. Her story serves as a sobering reminder to trust our instincts and to never underestimate the importance of personal safety. What are your thoughts on this case? Would Cecilia have had a different fate? Had she called the police on the earlier incidents of stalking and home intrusion? You decide and let us know in the comments section below also. Please show your support. Give us a like and subscribe for more content.